Another campaign to protect the very remote Tatshenshini River in the southwestern Yukon and the northwestern corner of British Columbia featured a map with day-by-day journal entries of a trip down the river. Our hope was to create an immersive experience that would resonate with people who would likely never have the opportunity to visit the Tatshenshini. During the time I was at CPAWS, I had the experience of working with corporations that were being helpful and harmful at the same time. In this case, natural resource businesses that were causing harm to the environment and supporting environmental protection. The duality of businesses that are often responsible and irresponsible is an important theme you'll see throughout this book. For most businesses, balancing profit and purpose is extremely difficult, especially in situations where shareholders' interests are prioritized over the interests of other stakeholders, such as employees and local communities. The spectrum here runs from companies that are genuinely harmful and make donations to charity in order to appear less egregious, to businesses that have a less negative impact and have a culture in which doing good is of great importance. In Chapter 2, I share examples of how this duality has been a part of business since antiquity. More recently, new business structures, such as B Corps, have made it possible for companies to give equal balance to making a profit and making a positive contribution to society and the environment. CPAWS needed funding, and our corporate partners wanted to do something good, but we had no means of assessing whether or not this was appropriate, or how far we should go to build and promote these relationships. In 1993, I got a call from John Kim Bell, an Indigenous orchestra conductor I'd met at the Toronto Symphony. Bell had founded the Canadian Native Arts Foundation, an organization that gave grants to Indigenous people to pursue studies and build careers in the arts. He had the idea of recognizing Indigenous accomplishment in other areas and developed the National Aboriginal Achievement Awards and what later became the National Aboriginal Achievement Foundation, now known as INSPIRE. Bell was beginning to work on the first awards program and live television broadcast, and he wanted help in securing funding from corporations. It was an incredible opportunity to learn more about how corporations invest in social change and to be immersed in a largely Indigenous organization. Bell and I had the privilege of being invited to an Indigenous ceremony in a longhouse with local chiefs in British Columbia. Afterwards, one of the chiefs told me the difference between his people and others. He said people who weren't Indigenous walk into the future facing forward, and people from his culture walk into the future facing backwards so that they don't forget the value of their culture, language, and natural environment. I've always remembered that story because for me, it captured the dichotomy between business and social change, looking at the world through a lens of values, purpose, and meaning, or focusing only on creating economic value and profit to the detriment of what really matters. I think that story also touched on what I was trying to do but didn't realize at the time. Create social change by building relationships with groups that had contradictory perspectives and priorities, but needed to find a middle ground for the purpose of something more important. Helping to find the corporate funding for the first 2 years of the National Aboriginal Achievement Awards was an opportunity to help bring Bell's vision to life in a way that connected businesses with social change. In the 1990s, businesses began considering how to become more strategic in why and how they supported the community. We started to see the beginning of a social responsibility ecosystem of organizations and programs designed to help corporations do well and do good at the same time. In 1992, Business for Social Responsibility was launched, with 51 member companies and an inaugural event featuring Ben Cohen, Anita Roddick, and Stonyfield Farms co-founder Gary Hirschberg. In 1997, President Bill Clinton and a number of prominent business leaders helped to bring more attention to the idea of corporate social responsibility with the creation of the Ron Brown Award for Corporate Leadership for companies that were good corporate citizens. In Canada, the Canadian Centre for Philanthropy launched Imagine, an initiative that called for corporations to contribute 1% of pre-tax profits